Welcome to IDD Talks. I'm Anastasia Lavrina, and my guest today is a member of Azerbaijani Parliament and head of the Azerbaijani delegation to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, Mr. Samad Seyidov. Hello and welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Today we will speak about Security Conference in Munich, very famous event, I would like to say, with the participation of the President of Azerbaijani Republic, Mr. Ilham Aliyev. And we all remember the session on the agenda, which was titled Moving Mountains, Building Security in the South Caucasus, with the participation of the three leaders, President Ilham Aliyev, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, and also Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili. This is the first such kind of event with the participation of three leaders from the South Caucasus. Does it mean that we're moving forward for peace direction?
Again, thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting format. The Munich Security Conference is a major international event which just recently happened. And the major slogan which have been published at the end of the conference, that the world has come to the end. Could you imagine? This is the end of the world, which we already known. Because now the new page for the whole world just started. This is a major conclusion of the Munich Security Conference. And in the frame of this new format, we can see absolutely new developments. And the event and the panel which organized between three leaders from South Caucasian region is the historic one, because first time in the history, not only in the history of the Munich Security Conference, but in the history, three leaders, not prime ministers, not the ministers of the foreign affairs or speakers of the parliament, exactly the leaders of the countries, three South Caucasian leaders.
I'm sorry, do you remember the forum in Davos with the participation of two leaders from Georgia and Azerbaijan?
But without Armenia.
And this time we see
Yes, this is the first time. And we can also remember a meeting between President Aliyev and Prime Minister Garibashvili in Tbilisi.
Indeed.
Where they have invited Prime Minister Pashinyan to come to join to this format. And now we can see three leaders, and that's why my president is absolutely right. This is a historic event. And I hope the Prime Minister of Armenia is able to understand that the history has changed, the world has changed, as the major conclusion of the Munich conference. The world is a different one. The new world is coming. The old world is over. And if Armenia is able to understand that the new reality is coming and the new reality is priority, not only for Azerbaijan, not only for Georgia, even not only for Armenia, but the new priority is, new reality is priority for the rest of the world, for the leading countries, for United States of America, for Europe, for civilized world, it means we will be able to find the solution of this very difficult problem which we have. What kind of problem we have? We are doing our best in order to restore the peace, to come to sustainable peace in the region, to sign the peaceful treaty between Azerbaijan and Armenia, because the world is looking for peace, taking into account that the war between Russia and Ukraine is going on, a very unstable situation between Russia and Georgia, very difficult developments, not so understandable, unpredictable developments with China.
I guess the world itself needs stable South Caucasus.
Yes, of course. And we have the answer. Why? Because South Caucasian region became a very attractive part of the world, not only for these countries, I mean, for Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, for Europe, for United States of America, for China, for all over the countries in the world, because this is the only way to find conjunction between continents, between the states, between Central Asia and Europe, China and Europe, United States of America and others. And we have done a lot in this direction. Before the war, we have done a lot. My president also mentioned that energy security gave us possibility to ensure our future security, to present Azerbaijan in a different way, to be unattractable, to be the country where each strong countries in the world are looking for their national interests. And that's a philosophy of Azerbaijan. We're not against others. We're in favor of our national interest, but we are able to incorporate our national interest in the interest of those who are looking for something here. This is a big difference between us and Armenia, because Armenia try, if I may say like that, to invite West to this region with absence of international law, with idea that they are able to broke everything, with approach that they have some kind of relationship and that's why somebody should help them.
So this is an idea to prolong the negotiation process.
To prolong negotiation process and to disrupt the situation which we are just now have in the region. But Azerbaijan has absolutely different attitude. Azerbaijan is doing its best in the frame of international law. And that's why I think the international community is able to understand, and that's why Secretary of State Mr. Blinken said that position of Azerbaijan we have to take into account. International community has to take into account. Maybe this is not exact quote of his words, but the philosophy, the attitude which United States of America has toward the position of Azerbaijan is absolutely understandable. And you know, actually this security conference gave us a lot of hopes, because what we are looking for actually, peace, yes, everybody is in favor, yes, everybody is in favor of peace. We said that if there isn't a corridor to Zangezur, there is no future for Lachen. And this is very understandable, and I think this is a very right and, if I may say like that, very justice position.
If I'm not mistaken, it was also discussion about the checkpoint
yes.
on the Lachen road.
Yes.
If the same can be conditioned
could you imagine
side.
Could you imagine that another country has an access to other one without any checkpoint? That's very unlogical, and especially take into account that we have proofs that using humanitarian umbrella under the auspices of humanitarian aids to the people of NagornoKarabakh, they try to deliver mines, ammunition, and other illegal things, unknown people, terrorist groups, sabotage group, etc. And that's why, being an independent country, and my president said, please respect my sovereignty, please respect the independence of Azerbaijan, and the Karabakh is an integral part of Azerbaijan. If we are talking about this sovereignty, we have to take into account that we have to check everything. And first of all, for those in favor of those who are living in Karabakh, because they are citizens of Azerbaijan.
And this is another question that was also raised, because Armenian side always saying that there should be negotiations between Azerbaijan and Armenians, ethnic Armenians living in Karabakh. And as President Ilham Aliyev mentioned, we are ready to
yes,
have
we are ready to do that.
With Vardanyan.
Yes, we are ready to do that. They are our citizens. And that's, I think you're absolutely right, Anastasia, because not only my president, this is position of my president, this is position of my country. What is really very important, that the international community, especially at the Munich Security Conference, already understood that without these kind of interventions, we are able to find some way out from this deadlock. Without Mr. Vardanyan, who is a very corrupted and very well-known person in the West, you know, he's in the list of sanctions.
But still, he's being invited to France.
But, you know, double standards still exist.
We know about this position of French
government. Everybody knows about that. But he's still in the list of sanctions of the European Union and United States of America for his money laundering activity, for his corruption activity, even within the European Parliament. And that's why, from this point of view, that's very logical and I think very right and strong position. We are ready to do that. We are ready to communicate with people who are living in Karabakh. But if Vardanyan if I may say like that, is ready to left. I think in nearest future we will be able to see that people in Karabakh kick him out from Karabakh, because destabilization, which we can see, has been created by these guys, because this is in favor of this guy to see the unstable situation in Karabakh. We are in favor of peace, but unfortunately what we can see during the panel discussion, that Mr. Pashinyan is not ready to accept realities.
Yeah, he started to speak about the blockage on Lachin Road, but he received a very good answer when Mr. President Ilham Aliyev mentioned that if there is a blockage, then how is it possible for so many cars with a humanitarian assistance to pass through the Lachin Road within a day? And also about that person, Vardanyan, who can easily travel in the car from Karabakh to Armenia to Russia and back. What kind of blockage we can speak about?
That's right. Could you imagine if Prime Minister Pashinyan is talking about blockade, how Mr. Vardanyan path the Lachin corridor through Armenia to Moscow and then return back to Karabakh? And that's why that's of course ridiculous. Nobody, I'm talking about the serious politicians and those who are very well aware about the situation in the region. Nobody is really believed to these kind of fairy tales. But we have to understand that unfortunately within Armenia there are some forces which try to destabilize situation not only within Armenia but within Azerbaijan also. They try to, as I already mentioned, to bring international community in a very unexpected way. For example, they have done a lot in order to invite the European Union mission to Armenia, which is from my point of view very unconstructive step, and without Azerbaijan that would be impossible to think about some profits from this mission to the region. If somebody is going to be serious with future development of this region, they have to keep, first of all, balance, and they have to understand not only Armenian position, but first of all Azerbaijani position, because Azerbaijani position is a major position in the region. Without Azerbaijani position, that would be impossible even to manage the situation in the region. You know, once during the discussion, my counterpartner from Armenia said, we are ready to send a delegation to Azerbaijan in order to investigate situation in Karabakh. And as a reply to his so-called great idea, my European colleague said, you know, without Azerbaijan you are not able to do even one step, because situation under full control of Azerbaijan. And that's why from this point of view, not only Armenians, not only those who are living in Armenia, those who are able to understand the realities, I mean from think tanks, from big powers, politicians, serious politicians, they already made statements which are acceptable for Azerbaijan. And in this row we can see statement which came from Secretary Blinken, from European Union authorities. And I'm really glad that my president said, for example, that negotiations on trilateral format we are ready to accept if Armenia, European Union and Azerbaijan will be there, without others, without those who are not able to present their balanced approach. Because if you are going to be a mediator, you have to have your balanced approach. If you are not able to be to have a balanced approach, you are not be able to be a mediator.
I guess we can openly say it was said about France.
Yes, of course, yes, no doubts. And that's why from this point of view, I think time has come to understand, first of all, to Armenia, that realities which has been created by Azerbaijan is unchangeable. Second, realities which has been created by Azerbaijan acceptable by the rest of the world. Third, that realities which has been created by Azerbaijan is a priority for those who are thinking about sustainable peace in the region and about the future of the region. What does it mean, future of the region? When we are talking about the when we are talking about the future of the region, we are talking about Karabakh economic zone within Azerbaijan, not NagornoKarabakh, as my president said, because this is over. This game is over. This game is over. About the economic development of the relationship between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And last point, about Zangezur corridor. Because as I said at the beginning, if there is not Zangezur corridor, that will be not able for Lachin corridor. We have to have checkpoints at the border between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and only with this serious approach to this matter, we will be able to achieve sustainable peace in the region.
By the way, Secretary Blinken himself mentioned that all transportation routes in the region have to be opened.
Yes.
It was stated by the representative of the United States of America. And
frankly, Anastasia, that's not fair to give an access, humanitarian access, to those who are living in Karabakh from Armenia, which is understandable, and to keep the road to Nakhchivan under blockade. Because this is also blockade. This is the real blockade, because we do not have blockade of the Lachin corridor, but we have the blockade of the Zangezur corridor, and this is a part of the trilateral agreement. Very frequently our Armenian colleagues said that somebody is going to violate the trilateral agreement, but the real violator of this trilateral agreement is Armenia, because still the Zangezur corridor is closed. And that's why we have to have this Zangezur corridor, okay, with checkpoints. But in this case, we have to have our checkpoints at the beginning of the Lachin corridor.
That's for sure. Do you have any idea why this time Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, agreed to participate in such a panel discussion with two other leaders from the South Caucasus? Maybe there are some changes, or Mr. Pashinyan decided to have his own game?
At the very beginning, we have heard that he attempted to refuse this panel. And then information we have got that he accepted this invitation and he is going to come. You know why? Because even with Armenia or without Armenia, the reality which has been created by Azerbaijan will be implemented. And that's a real reality. That's the real consequences of the war which Azerbaijan won during the 44 days. And that's why if Armenia is ready to come, if Armenia is ready to communicate and is ready to be constructive and understandable, that's good for Armenia. But if Armenia is not able to come and is not so happy with these developments, up to Armenia, because time is running for Azerbaijan. And we are able to manage situation. I think this very special approach is coming to the table of those who are really responsible for the situation in the world. And first of all, European Union and United States of America. But frankly speaking, we are not against other formats of negotiations. We are ready to accept all kinds of initiatives which can serve for peace and sustainable development in the region. But very important result of the Munich conference, that with or without, the future of Azerbaijan will be according to the plan which has been created by Azerbaijan.
Indeed, and you already started to answer my next question about the mediators. United States of America, Brussels format of negotiations. Mr. President confirmed that this is the way we are planning to continue negotiation. And we shouldn't forget about Moscow, because Russia staying in the region and continuing to take an active role in all of these processes. So should we expect that Azerbaijan, as you already mentioned, will support all of the format negotiations? And do you think that the countries, considering the geopolitical differences they have, will do their best to have stable development of the region?
You know, Anastasia, that's a very good question, because our objective is not negotiations. Our objective is a peace. And if
through negotiations.
Through negotiations. A negotiation is a tool. That's an instrument. And our last idea, our desire, our dream is to have a peace, in the sustainable peace in the region. And if any country, including Russian Federation, is able to contribute to these peace negotiations, very welcome. We are really happy. But if somebody is not able to keep a balance, if somebody or some countries try to present that this country is more acceptable for me than others, that's not the style of negotiation. And that's why as you already mentioned, we're in favor of Brussels format, and President already mentioned during the Munich Security Conference that trilateral Armenian, Azerbaijan, and Brussels format is acceptable for us. We're in favor to see United States of America as a mediator, and I think the meeting between President of Azerbaijan, Prime Minister of Armenia, and Mr. Blinken on the stage of the Munich Security Conference is another vivid example of that. And we are in favor of Russian activities if Russia is able to keep the same approach as Brussels and United States of America. But we are not happy, and we are not so ready to see cynical approach from France, because France already openly said that they are doing everything in favor of Armenia. This is not the case for this negotiation. And that's why, again, I'm returning back to our dream. Our dream is a peace in the region. Our desire is to create sustainable peace in the region, and everybody is welcome if they are able to help to achieve these sacred value.
Taking into account active participation of the United States of America in the processes of our region, we know that Secretary Blinken, after the visit to Munich, flight to Turkey, and met with Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, he visited the places where the earthquake happened.
Areas, yes.
Indeed, and at the bilateral meeting, the sides spoke about the situation in the region itself, the war between Russia and Ukraine, NATO expansion, and the different processes which we observed on the global politics. So, taking into account this position of the United States of America, should we expect any concrete steps? We know about the growing interest of the United States in the South Caucasus, but maybe they should be more precise actions to have this peace achieved as soon as possible. We have negotiation, as Mr. President mentioned, for 28 years. And if there is no any war, probably we will have the same step, 28 years of negotiations. Maybe we should have concrete steps, for example, on behalf of the United States of America.
Yes, Anastasia, first of all, let me express my condolences to Turkish people because of this terrible earthquake which we have seen, and tens of thousands victims and wounded people. That's really tragedy, and Azerbaijan expressed their readiness to do everything for our brotherly Turkey, and we actually have done, of course, and I am sure that we are going to do much more in the future than we have done in the past. We are continuing, yes. The role of Turkey, the role of the Turkey is a special one, of course, for Azerbaijan. Of course, after earthquake, the geopolitical earthquake, another geopolitical earthquake had happened because, Turkey just now is very busy with their internal affairs. But doesn't matter. Turkey is a great country. Turkey is a key player not only in the Mediterranean, but in our region. And that's why everybody should take into account the role of Turkey. Turkey is not a mediator. Maybe this is a sound a little bit strange. Turkey is a major factor for stability of the peace in the region. And that's a big difference. And not only in our region. Turkey is a major factor of the peace in the Mediterranean, in the Europe, in the Middle East. And that's why United States of America should take into account the role of Turkey. And that's why, of course, that's very good that Mr. Blinken came to Turkey and expressed their condolences. And together with Minister of Foreign Affairs, Çavuşoğlu, they went to the affected areas and saw this devastation and these terrible things. But during these meetings, they, of course, have discussed the role of Turkey in Europe, the role of Turkey in our region. And I think United States of America State Secretary visit is another proof that despite of this earthquake, despite of the difficulties which Turkey has for time being, Turkey is a great force and stability factor in the region, and everybody should take into account the reality of Turkey. And especially everybody should take into account not only the reality of Turkey, but the unity between Turkey and Azerbaijan. Shusha Declaration is a vivid example of that. From this point of view, I think the future of relationship between Turkey and Azerbaijan is a great. And I think in nearest future we will be able to see more steps in this direction, more cooperation between two states. And this is not only for negotiations, or maybe this is less for negotiations. This is for future, this is for peace, and this is for sustainable stability and maybe for peace forever in this region.
And speaking about the concrete steps on behalf of the United States of America, can I understand from your answer that United States of America will support the action and decisions made by Turkey in order to make peace and stability?
No doubts, Anastasia, no doubts, because without Turkey, I can imagine, for example, developments between Russia and Ukraine. Without Turkey, we are not able to even to think about NATO. And I think another question which Mr. Blinken already discussed with Çavuşoğlu, membership of Finland and Sweden to NATO, all spectrum of questions which
and
Europe has
military
today.
Cooperation.
Yes, but all spectrum, doesn't matter. NATO membership, our region, Ukraine, Russia war, or United States-Turkey relationship. Without Turkey, that would be impossible. And that's why Turkey is a major factor. And everybody should take into account this role. Of course, this earthquake has created a lot of obstacles, headaches, problematic issues. This is a real tragedy. Tens of thousands of people have been killed and wounded. But I think in nearest future we will be able new, more strong and more influential Turkey in the region.
Mr. Seyidov, thank you so much for joining IDD Talks today. It was a real pleasure to talk with you about these very important issues.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.